There are so many open world RPGs out there, it's hard to know which ones are really worth your time. Today, I'm gonna show you some of my favorite, or some of the best open world RPGs you can play right now. Big worlds, great stories, and a ton of fun. Let's jump in. Final Fantasy 15. This one's kind of a weird one, man. Like, it looks like a Final Fantasy game, but then you're just cruising in a luxury car with your boys through this big open world, listening to old FF music on the radio, and honestly, that's kind of the charm. It's less chosen here on a Destiny quest and more like 4 bros on a long-ass road trip with monsters. The world's huge and really pretty. You've got these open highways, gas stations in the middle of nowhere, chill campsites, and all these hidden dungeons that feel super optional but really rewarding if you go off the path. You can literally stop the car, hop out, and just start wandering into the wild. It's got that open road feeling, like you're not rushing to the next quest marker, you're just vibing. Combat's flashy as hell. You're warping around, summoning gods out of the sky, pulling off combos with your crew. It looks sick, but at times it can get kinda mashy and some camera jank shows up in tight spaces. Still, the flow of camping at night, eating Ignis's 5-star meals, and leveling up at the end of the day, super satisfying. The second half of the story also shifts gears. It goes super linear, way less open world, and speeds through some big events that could have used more time to breathe. If you just mainline the story, it feels kind of rushed and confusing, but if you take your time, explore everything, and later go back for the DLC, it ends up feeling more complete. Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas is one of those open world RPGs that's rough around the edges, yeah, but man, it gets it. Like, it understands what makes open worlds fun, freedom, chaos, consequences, and choices that actually matter. This game lets you be whoever you want, do whatever you want, and screw over whoever you want, all in a dry, broken, post-nuclear wasteland that somehow still feels alive. The world is dusty, grimy, janky as hell sometimes, but it's got character. You're in the Mojave Wasteland, wandering through dried out towns, radioactive caves, rundown casinos, robot-controlled military camps. It's ugly, but it's real. Every place has a story, every person has an opinion, and they remember what you do. You side with one faction, you piss off another. You help someone now, they might back you up later. Or stab you in the back. Depends how you play. What makes New Vegas special is the freedom in how you shape the world. There are like 4 major factions: NCR, Caesar's Legion, Mr. House, and you can even go full solo wildcard style. And every choice you make ripples out. You might think, oh, I'll just do this quest, and 3 hours later you realize that one decision locked you out of a whole storyline. It's messy, but in a good way, like real consequence. Gameplay? It's the same engine as Fallout 3, so it's janky, let's be honest. The combat's kinda clunky, animations are stiff, and bugs? Oh yeah, tons, but somehow it doesn't matter. The writing, the characters, the branching dialogue, the world building, it all carries the game, and if you're on PC, there are mods that clean a lot of that stuff up. Oh, and the tone, it walks that line between serious political drama and dark comedy perfectly. You've got tragic war stories, weird cults, cannibal families running hotels, Elvis impersonator gangs. It's wild, but it never feels forced. It fits the world. Fallout New Vegas ain't pretty, but it's smart, reactive, and full of personality. It trusts the player. It says, here's the wasteland, good luck, and sometimes that's all you need. Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 drops you into Night City, and right from the start it hits you with how big and detailed everything is. This isn't just an open world to run through, it actually feels like a place people live in. Streets are packed with noise, ads, lights, and people doing their thing. You'll walk past street vendors, hear music blasting from shops, see gangs hanging around corners. It's a lot, but in a good way. Every time you look around, there's something to catch your eye. You play as V, a merc trying to climb the ranks in the city. The game gives you a lot of freedom in how you build your version of V. You want to sneak around and hack stuff? You can. You want to run in with a shotgun and blow up everything? Go for it. You can even install big robot arms or blades that come out of your wrists. There are tons of ways to play, and that's part of what makes it fun. You get to decide how you want to handle situations. The missions are open-ended too. You can take different paths depending on your skills. Sometimes you'll talk your way through a problem, or maybe find a backdoor and avoid a fight. Other times you'll just go in loud and take everyone down. It never feels like the game is forcing you to play a certain way. It lets you experiment and try stuff out. The city itself is packed with side quests, jobs, and cool little moments. You've got main story missions that go deep into characters and choices, and then you've got all these gigs on the side, like helping a cop, stealing a car, hunting down dangerous people, or doing weird jobs for strangers. A lot of those side stories are actually really well written and interesting, sometimes even more than the main quest. Just driving around feels good too, especially on a motorcycle. Just riding through the city at night with the lights flashing past you feels awesome. There's also a fast travel system, but honestly, half the time you'll want to just drive and enjoy the view. The city's broken into different areas too, like rich districts, dirty back streets, deserts outside the city, and each one has its own vibe. So yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 is great if you like RPGs with freedom, good action, and a super detailed world. It's not perfect, but the core gameplay and the city itself are seriously fun once you get into it. Gothic II.
Know what fate.
Let's go old school with Gothic II. This one's a real cult classic. It might look kinda dated now, but back in the day, this game defined what it meant to be dropped into a living, breathing world and told, figure it out yourself. You start as the nameless hero, just a regular dude who survived the first game, and now you're stuck in this dangerous medieval land crawling with bandits, wild animals, and angry townsfolk. No overpowered gear, no hand-holding, no glowing quest markers. The game straight up doesn't care if you're ready or not. You walk into the wrong area early on, something's gonna kill you fast. But that's the beauty of it. Gothic 2 earns your respect. It makes you feel weak at the start, but every little bit of progress, every skill you learn or armor upgrade you get, it matters. You really feel yourself getting stronger, and that slow growth hits harder than most modern RPGs where you're a god from the jump.
With the help of the soldiers and the magicians who live around here.
The open world isn't massive like today's games, but it feels dense. Every forest path, cave, or cliffside can lead to something. A hidden chest, a side quest, a character doing something weird. And people in the world actually react to your actions. Steal in front of someone, they'll call you out or attack you. Try to barge into a restricted area, guards will kick your ass. It makes the world feel alive, even if the tech is old. The factions are also a big part of the game. You can join the militia, fire mages, or mercenaries, and each one changes how people treat you and what skills you can learn. And Gothic doesn't let you do everything in one run, you gotta choose. That gives the game real replay value. Combat's janky, let's be honest. Especially if you're new to it, the controls feel clunky and it takes a bit to get used to fighting properly, but once it clicks, it's satisfying in that old school way. You can't just mash buttons, you gotta time your hits, manage your stamina, and actually think about fights. Same with magic, it's powerful, but you gotta work your way up to it. There's also a real charm to the world. The voice acting is kind of rough, the animations are stiff, but somehow it all works. The characters feel like real people with their own lives. The world has this raw, gritty tone that doesn't care about looking polished. It just feels honest. Gothic 2 definitely isn't for everyone. It's hard, kind of awkward, and doesn't explain much. But if you want an RPG where you're dropped into a wild world and have to survive, grow, and make your own way, this game nails that. It's open world done right, just in an old school, no hand-holding kind of way.
He is destined to be a hero.
Xenoblade Chronicles. A big, bold, open world RPG that kinda just goes for it. Like, this game isn't just open world in terms of space, it's massive, both in size and in how it builds its world, lore, and systems. And the crazy part, the entire game takes place on the bodies of two giant titans. Yeah, like actual gods, just frozen in time, with cities and forests growing on their backs. Wild, right? You play as Schultz, this young dude who gets pulled into a pretty heavy story after his home gets attacked by a bunch of machines called Mechon. He ends up with with this special sword, the Monado, that can kinda see into the future, and yeah, things get real from there. The story starts small, kinda like a revenge plot, but over time it turns into this giant, emotional, sci-fi adventure that goes places you wouldn't expect. And now let's talk about the open world. This thing is huge. Not just map with icons huge, I'm talking wide open fields, glowing jungles, floating islands, ancient ruins, and skies that change with the weather and time of day. You'll go from chill, grassy plains where creatures are just doing their thing to dangerous zones where giant monsters roam, and these things will one-shot you if you're not careful. But that's part of the fun. You feel like you're exploring a real ecosystem, not just a game world. And it's not empty either. There are hundreds of side quests, hidden items, secret locations, optional bosses, and a whole bunch of NPCs with their own schedules. Like, people actually walk around, go to sleep, eat meals. It's little stuff, but it helps the world feel alive. Combat's real time with this MMO style twist. You auto attack, but you also use special moves that recharge over time. It's all about positioning, timing, and combos. You control one character and let the other two in your party do their thing, but there's a lot of strategy involved. Plus, the Monado gives Shulk special abilities to counter strong enemies and help your squad. It starts off feeling simple, but the more you play, the more depth it opens up.
Leave it to me.
Now, it's not perfect. The UI can get cluttered, some side quests are kinda samey, like go collect 5 bug wings type stuff, and early on, there's a lot of menus to learn. But the game gives you so much freedom to explore and play how you want that it's easy to get lost in a good way. So yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles is a mix of epic story, massive open world, deep systems, and straight up emotional moments. It's the kind of game where you look at the map and go, whoa, I can go there, and then 10 hours later, you're still exploring that one spot because there's just that much packed into it.
The future I see, it isn't set. So I can use this power to change the future. And that's exactly what I intend to do.
Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. This one's kind of a hidden gem. It came out back in 2012 and honestly flew under a lot of people's radar, but if you're into open world RPGs with fast, smooth combat and tons of loot and quests, this one's got what you're looking for. So first off, you don't start off as anyone important. You're literally a dead body on a pile of corpses. Then boom, you get brought back to life. No memory, no destiny, nothing. But here's the twist. Now that you've come back from the dead, you're off the grid when it comes to fate. Everyone in this world has a fixed destiny, except you. You can change yours. That means you can build your character however you want and the world reacts to the fact that you're different. You can literally reshape the story and change the lives of others, which is kind of cool. The open world is huge, colorful, and packed with stuff to do. It's not dark and gritty like some other RPGs. It's bright, magical, and full of fantasy vibes. You've got forests, caves, swamps, big cities, ancient ruins, all with that classic fantasy feel. There are tons of side quests, faction storylines, and secret dungeons to stumble into. It's got a bit of that checklist vibe, like there's always another thing to explore or loot around the corner. If you like just cleaning up maps and getting stronger while doing it, it hits that spot. Now, where Amalur really shines is the combat. This ain't a slow, clunky RPG. It plays more like an action game. You've got dodge rolls, combos, magic abilities, and different weapon types like daggers, chakrams, swords, bows, and staffs, and they all feel fast and fun. You can mix and match them too, like go stealthy and then instantly switch to full-blown magic or heavy weapons mid-fight. The flexibility is really what makes the gameplay addictive. And the animations, even now, they still look slick. The leveling system is super open. You've got 3 main paths, might, finesse, and sorcery, and you're not locked into any of them. You can mix all 3 and make your own custom build, and later on you even get these destiny cards that give bonuses depending on how you've spec'd your skills. It's super flexible and really lets you play your way. Now for the flaws, the world looks big and detailed, but it's not always that interactive. NPCs mostly just stand around, and the choices you make in quests don't change much. The story is decent, but it doesn't hit super hard emotionally. emotionally. It's more about the moment-to-moment fun than some deep personal tale. Also, the game can start to feel repetitive if you're trying to 100% everything, just because there's so much of it. But overall, Kingdoms of Amalur is a super fun open-world RPG that focuses on fast combat, deep customization, and that good old loot and leveled up cycle. If you want something that feels more like a single-player action MMO where you're constantly getting new gear, smashing enemies, and exploring cool fantasy areas, this game delivers. Fable II.
Make a stand.
Now this one's got a special kind of charm, man. It's not the biggest open world out there, and it's not super complex or deep like some other RPGs on this list, but it's fun, it's stylish, and it's got heart. It's the kind of game that doesn't take itself too seriously, but still gives you that full open world RPG experience, choices, quests, powers, and a world that actually changes based on what you do. You play as a kid in the beginning, just a nobody on the streets living with your sister, then something tragic happens, and years later you're grown up and on a path for revenge. But how you get there is totally up to you. You can be a hero, a total jerk, or something in between. And yeah, the game remembers. People in towns react to your choices. If you're evil, they're scared of you. If you're nice, they love you. You can literally buy every house in the game, become a landlord, get married, have kids, or just go around farting in public. The game lets you mess around. The world isn't massive, but it's broken into cool, handcrafted areas that are full of personality. You've got spooky forests, peaceful farms, shady towns, castle ruins. It's not just copy-pasted terrain. Each spot feels like it has a story, and as you move through the game, you'll see the world change. Like, if you choose to develop an area, it becomes modern and rich. If you ignore it, it might stay poor and rough-looking. That kind of stuff really sticks with you. Combat is simple, but it feels good. You've got melee, ranged, and magic, and you can mix them on the fly. It's not super deep, but the way your character grows over time is really cool. You'll see your hero physically change depending on your choices. Eat too much, you get chunky. Use a lot of magic, your hands glow. Be evil, you grow horns. Be good, you get a halo. It's goofy, but it gives you that RPG feeling in a more visual, fun way. So yeah, Fable 2 is like the cozy, slightly weird fantasy RPG you didn't know you needed. Not the most epic or the most polished, but full of charm, freedom, and memorable moments. Definitely worth visiting if you want something light, playful, but still packed with choices and adventure.
Be feared. Be worshipped. Be mocked. Be loved.
Witcher 3.
Land of love and wine.
This is the open world RPG that changed the game for a lot of people. It's huge, yeah, but it's not just big for the sake of it. Every area feels like it matters. Every quest feels like it was written by an actual human, not just thrown in. And the world, it's dark, detailed, and full of life, even if a lot of that life wants to kill you. But you play as Geralt of Rivia, a monster hunter for hire, kind of like a medieval bounty hunter with magic. He's not a chosen one or some fresh-faced hero. He's grumpy, experienced, and honestly just trying to get paid and find the girl he sees as his daughter. What makes Geralt cool is that he already knows the world. You're not building a character from scratch, you're stepping into the boots of someone who's been around, and that makes the writing feel way more natural. The world is split into a few giant areas: Velen, Novigrad, Skellige, and more, and they're packed. Forests, cities, villages, swamps, mountains, islands, you name it. You're constantly running into weird stuff off the path. One minute you're hunting a werewolf, the next you're helping a ghost get closure or dealing with some dude who made a deal with a demon and now regrets it. And the crazy part, even the smallest side quests are well written. They're not just fetch quests. Most of them have twists or emotional beats that hit harder than you'd expect. Combat's solid, not perfect. You've got swords, signs, which are like little spells, bombs, oils, potions, and you'll need to prep before fights. Like, if you're going after a vampire, you better read about it and bring the right tools. It's not just hack and slash. It rewards planning. And the choices? Yeah, they matter. Not in a flashy good versus evil kind of way, but in a more realistic sense. You might make a decision thinking it's the right one and later find out you screwed someone over without meaning to. The game doesn't hold your hand. It trusts you to deal with the mess. That's what makes the world feel real. So yeah, The Witcher 3 is that rare game where everything just clicks. Story, world, characters, quests, it all works together. It's the kind of game you think about even after you finish it, not just because of what happened, but because of how you played it. And for open world RPGs, that's the gold standard. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Easily one of the most unique open world RPGs out there. It might not look or feel like your usual modern RPG at first glance, but the more time you spend with it, the more it pulls you in with its deep combat, weird systems, and that unpredictable, wild sense of adventure. You start off as a regular villager, literally a nobody, and suddenly a dragon shows up, wrecks your town, and rips your heart out. And somehow, you're still alive? That's how you become the Arisen, someone tied to the dragon by fate. It sounds dramatic, but the game doesn't treat you like some unstoppable hero. You gotta earn it. Now the open world here feels dangerous and raw. It's not overly massive, but it's full of risks. You'll walk into a forest at night and suddenly get ambushed by bandits or wolves, or worse, run into a chimera or ogre you have no business fighting, yet nighttime especially is terrifying. It gets dark duck, and if you're not carrying a lantern, you're basically blind. That kind of design pushes you to think ahead and stay alert, and it makes every trip feel like a real journey. Where Dragon's Dogma really stands out is the combat. It's fast, responsive, and surprisingly deep. You've got climbing mechanics that let you grab onto huge enemies like ogres or griffins and stab them in weak spots while they're flying or thrashing around. Different classes like fighter, strider, mage, etc. play completely differently, and you can switch between them as you level up. Whether you're using swords, bows, or magic, it all feels satisfying, kind of like a mix between Dark Souls and Monster Hunter, with a bit of Devil May Cry energy in how flashy some moves are. Then there's the pawn system, which is honestly kind of wild. You create a companion, your main pawn, who levels up with you and learns from your behavior. You also hire 2 other pawns made by real players, and they bring with them knowledge from quests and enemies they've seen in their game. So even when you're playing offline, it feels connected. It adds a strange but cool dynamic, especially when your pawn gives useful advice or gets picked by other players and comes back with gifts or gold. Story-wise, it's kind of light on cutscenes and heavy exposition, especially early on. A lot of it is left vague or hidden in dialogue and lore. But toward the end, and especially in the Dark Arisen expansion, it dives into some surprisingly deep stuff. The final act and post-game areas like Bitter Black Isle are dark, intense, and packed with tough enemies and rare loot. That dungeon alone adds hours of challenging content. Now, yeah, it's got some rough edges. The world can feel a bit empty in places. A fast travel system is limited on purpose, and inventory management isn't the best. Some people bounce off it early because it doesn't explain things well, but if you stick with it, the game opens up into something really special. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is one of those RPGs where the journey feels dangerous, the fights are exciting, and your choices in class and companions really matter. It doesn't hold your hand, and that's kind of the point. It wants you to learn by doing, and in a way that makes your victories feel even more earned. Divinity Original Sin 2. One of the most detailed, deep, and straight up smartest RPGs out there. This one doesn't just give you an open world to walk through, it gives you a world that reacts to almost everything you do. If you're the kind of player who likes experimenting, exploring, and getting into weird situations because you pushed a button just to see what would happen, this game is built for that. You start off as a prisoner, basically a nobody, with a magical collar slapped on your neck. You're being hauled off to a prison island for people with magic, aka sorcerers. From there, your journey starts, and how it plays out, that's entirely up to you. You can create your own custom character or play as one of the origin characters with backstories and personal quests, and they're all really well written. Like, you've got a lizard noble who speaks in royal tone, an undead guy in disguise, and a woman possessed by a demon. It's a wild bunch. If you play as one of them, you're not just picking a class, you're stepping into a story that weaves into the main plot in meaningful ways.
You were my home once.
Now the world itself is broken into big open areas, not one giant map, but each zone feels like a full sandbox. You can go anywhere, talk to anyone, steal stuff, kill people, sneak around, blow up walls, teleport across gaps. The game rarely says no. There are quests you can solve in 5 or 6 different ways depending on your skills, dialogue choices, or just straight up creativity. Like you could talk your way into a guarded area, or turn invisible and sneak in, or teleport a barrel through a crack in the wall, or just pick a fight and see what happens. The combat system is fully turn-based and it's brilliant. It's not about just doing more damage, it's about using the environment. You can set the ground on fire, electrify water, freeze blood, summon monsters, teleport enemies, use high ground for extra damage, and chain it all together in super creative ways. You're always thinking a few steps ahead. And if you play co-op, it gets even crazier because each player can go off and do their own thing, even start fights or quests separately. It's chaotic, but in a fun, controlled way. Leveling up gives you a lot of freedom. You're not stuck in a box, you can mix magic, weapons, rogue skills, summoning, necromancy, whatever. And if you mess up, you can respec later. It's all about building the team you want. Now fair warning, Divinity 2 is deep. It's a slower paced, more text heavy game compared to your usual action RPG. If you're just looking for fast combat or big flashy cutscenes, this ain't it. But if you want an RPG that rewards thinking, exploring, and role-playing your way through every situation, it's top tier.
We can do it together. But when we reach that summit, only one of us can be divided.
GreedFall. Now, a game that might not have the biggest budget or flashiest graphics, but it absolutely delivers when it comes to story, world building, and that good old school RPG feeling. You play as De Sardet, a noble from a powerful merchant family, and your mission is to travel to a mysterious island called Tir Freydi. The island is full of magic, strange creatures, and local tribes, and it also holds the possible cure for a deadly disease that's wiping out your homeland. So yeah, the stakes are high, but the cool part is how you deal with everything on the island is completely up to you. The world itself is open, but it's more like a bunch of big zones instead of one seamless map. That actually works in its favor. Each area is packed with quests, secrets, and detailed environments. You'll explore forests, villages, ruins, and big cities, and each place feels handcrafted. The game gives off a strong 17th century colonial fantasy vibe, muskets, swords, old school diplomacy, and a lot of tension between the different factions. And factions are a big deal in GreedFall. You've got different groups like religious fanatics, science-based scholars, merchant guilds, and native tribes, all with their own goals, problems, and politics. You'll constantly find yourself stuck in the middle of their drama, and the choices you make can push things in completely different directions. You might help one side and piss off another, and sometimes you won't even realize the full impact of your choice until hours later. Combat is a mix of melee, ranged weapons, magic, and traps. It's not super deep, but it's fun and flexible. You can pause mid-fight to switch strategies, use magic abilities, or throw bombs. You can spec into whatever playstyle you like. Tank, mage, rogue, mix of everything, and even respec later if you want to try something new. One thing GreedFall really nails is the companions. You'll build a team as you travel, and each character has their own backstory, personality, and loyalty. Some will agree with your choices, others might argue or even leave if you push them too far. And yeah, there's romance too if you're into that. Their quests are some of the best parts of the game, giving you real insight into the world and the deeper struggles going on.
I'm here. Pull yourself together. We didn't want this fight.
Now, it's not a perfect game. The animations are a little stiff, some areas feel reused, and the enemy variety could have been better, but the writing, world design, and the way your decisions actually matter, that's where it shines. It feels like a mix of classic Dragon Age, The Witcher, and old BioWare-style RPGs, just a little rough around the edges. If you want an RPG that focuses on diplomacy, choices, and a unique setting with cool lore and decent combat, GreedFall is 100% worth checking out. It's one of those games that may not seem like a big deal at first, but it slowly pulls you in with its charm, world, and the feeling that you're shaping the story as you go. Outward. A super unique open world RPG that's all about survival, exploration, and just figuring things out on your own. This isn't one of those games where you're the chosen one or some powerful hero right from the start. Nope. In Outward, you're just a regular person trying to survive in a dangerous, unforgiving world. And honestly, that's what makes it so cool. You start off in debt, literally, like you wake up in your shack and the town is about to kick you out unless you pay what you owe. There's no epic intro cutscene, no tutorial holding your hand, you just kinda go, alright, guess I better get some gear and start grinding. From there you head out into the world, and it's brutal in the best way. This game throws stuff at you that most RPGs don't even bother with. You have to eat, drink, sleep, stay warm or cool depending on the weather, avoid disease, patch up wounds, and deal with all kinds of status effects. If you're out in the wild and get wet, you might freeze. If you eat raw meat, you could get sick. It turns even basic travel into a real journey, and that gives everything weight. Just walking to a new town can take planning. What gear you bring, what food you pack, if you've got a tent or not. The combat is slow and tactical. It's not flashy or super smooth like in action RPGs, but it makes you think. You can't just button mash. You have to watch stamina, time your dodges, use traps, buffs, and learn enemy patterns. Magic is powerful, but takes a lot of effort to unlock. You literally have to go to a specific place and perform a ritual to even start using it. Again, nothing is just handed to you here. Now, the open world is big and beautiful, but it's also dangerous. The world's split into several large regions, each with its own environments, dungeons, and threats. No level scaling, no easy fast travel. If you go somewhere too early, you'll get destroyed, but that makes exploring feel real. You're not just going place to place checking boxes, you're surviving, planning, and discovering things at your own pace. What's really wild about Outward is how it handles failure. You can't just reload a save after dying. Instead, the game throws you into a defeat scenario. You might get captured by bandits and have to escape their camp, or someone might rescue you and drop you off far away. It makes every fight, every choice feel important because there are real consequences. Outward is for players who like the struggle. It doesn't try to make things easy, but when you survive a hard journey, beat a tough dungeon, or finally get your hands on good gear, it feels earned. It's one of the most unique RPGs out there, and if you're down for something slower, tougher, and super rewarding, this one's worth digging into. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. This one's not your typical open world RPG. It's more like a semi-open world with big hub areas, but the freedom, choices, and role-playing depth are off the charts. You play as a brand new vampire freshly turned without permission, which in vampire society is a huge deal. So now you're thrown into the middle of this underground world full of vampire politics, shady deals, betrayals, and ancient monsters. And it's all happening in the dark corners of Los Angeles, in places like clubs, back alleys, warehouses, sewers, and creepy mansions. It's gritty, it's weird, and it pulls you in hard. Right from the start, the game asks you to choose your clan, and that totally changes how you play. Want to be a smooth-talking social manipulator? Go Ventru. Want brute strength and chaos? Try Bruja. Want to sneak around or be an outcast who sees visions and talks to themselves? Play Nosferatu or Malkavian. And yeah, if you go Malkavian, even the dialogue options are completely different and totally unhinged. It's honestly one of the coolest RPG systems ever. The game world isn't one giant open space, but it's split into big hub areas you can travel between, like Santa Monica, downtown, Hollywood, and Chinatown. Each one is packed with quests, characters, secrets, and a ton of personality. And here's the thing, how you solve problems is up to you. You can use persuasion, hacking, sneaking, fighting, or even blood powers. But there are often 5 or 6 ways to handle a quest, and the game never forces you down just one path. And man, the atmosphere is top tier. The soundtrack is moody and dark, the voice acting is weirdly amazing for a game from 2004, and the characters you meet, even the side ones, are super memorable. Like, there are quests in this game that people still talk about today. That Haunted Mansion quest? Still creepy. The club scene's still stylish. The whole vibe is just cool in that grimy early 2000s goth punk way. Now combat, yeah, it's not great. It was janky even back in the day. Guns feel clunky, melee is awkward, and enemy AI can be dumb. But honestly, most people play this game for the dialogue, the choices, the immersion, not for smooth action. There are fan patches that help fix stuff though, and if you're playing today, you'll definitely want those. What makes Bloodlines legendary is that it truly lets you roleplay. You feel like your choices matter. You feel like you're living in this secret, dangerous world. The game gives you freedom, but in a more personal, story-driven way than most RPGs. So yeah, it's old, it's messy, but it's one of the most alive RPGs ever made. If you care about story, choice, and world building over shiny graphics and clean combat, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is still worth your time. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. One of the most hyped RPGs of the last few years, and honestly one of the wildest mixes of modern blockbuster design and classic JRPG vibes you'll find today. So first off, this is the second part of the FF7 remake trilogy, and it picks up right after the crew escapes Midgar. You're playing as Cloud, the spiky-haired merc who's still trying to figure out what's going on with his memories, his past, and this whole situation with Sephiroth, who's somehow back and more confusing than ever. But you've also got your full team now: Tifa, Aerith, Barrett, and Bread13. And as the story goes on, you even meet more playable characters like Yuffie and Kate Sith. It's a stacked lineup. But let's talk about the open world, because yeah, this is where Rebirth really goes all out. The game opens up in a big way. You're exploring full zones that look like something out of a high-end movie. Forests, coastlines, mountain paths, towns with personality. Each area feels handcrafted, and it's all connected by chocobo travel, vehicles, and side activities. It's not quite go anywhere, anytime open world, but it's way more open than the first game, and honestly it feels great. There's a lot to do too. You've got classic side quests, chocobo races, mini-games like Queen's Blood, the card game, materia hunting, hidden bosses, and optional storylines that give you more backstory on the world and your companions. It can get a little Ubisoft style at times, lots of icons and collectibles, but the good news is most of it's optional. If you just want to stick to the main story, you can still get a tight, focused experience, and if you love doing everything, you'll have 80 plus hours easy. Combat is still that awesome hybrid real-time / turn-based system from Remake, but Rebirth adds way more depth. You've got synergy skills between party members, more enemy types, and way more freedom to build out each character's loadout with material weapons and abilities. It's smooth, fast, and just straight up fun. Like, it makes grinding feel good. Now the story, man, it's both faithful and totally not faithful to the original. If you played the old FF7, you'll recognize key moments, but the writers have definitely gone in new directions. Some of it is bold, some of it confusing, and yeah, there's a lot of mystery stuff with alternate timelines or realities or whatever, but the heart of the story, Cloud's identity, the group's bond, the conflict with Sephiroth, it's all still there, just with more depth and emotion. Visually, it's gorgeous. Some of the best character models, environments, and animations you'll see in any RPG today. And the cutscenes? Straight up cinema. Square Enix always goes hard with presentation, and Rebirth is no exception. Now here's the thing, it's not perfect. There's a bit of open world bloat, some quests are forgettable, and it can be a lot to follow, especially if you're not deep into Final Fantasy lore. Plus, it's only part 2 of a trilogy, so don't expect full closure. But overall, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a damn good open world RPG. It mixes classic character-driven storytelling with modern design, keeps combat fun and deep, and builds out a world that's beautiful and exciting to explore. If you liked Remake, or even if you're just curious about why people love Final Fantasy so much, this is one of the best ways to experience it.
All I want is one thing: to keep the others safe.
It's upon us. The reunion. When worlds merge.
Sephiroth!
Kingdom Come Deliverance. One of the most grounded and realistic open world RPGs out there. No dragons, no magic, no ancient prophecies, just a brutal, dirty, medieval world that actually feels real. You're not a chosen one, you're not some legendary warrior, you're just Henry, the son of a blacksmith. And when the game starts, you're basically nobody. Can't fight, can't read, can't even shoot a bow straight. And that's kind of the whole point. Now, the open world in this game is stunning. It's based on real 15th century Bohemia, modern day Czech Republic, and it looks and feels like like an actual historical place. Villages, castles, forests, rivers, it's all designed with crazy attention to detail. People have routines, shops open and close on schedule, and the world doesn't just revolve around you. If you're not where you're supposed to be, things can move on without you. But the real meat of the game is in the systems. Everything feels earned. If you want to get better at fighting, you have to trade. If you want to read, you have to actually learn how to read in-game. Skills grow slowly over time as you actually use them. Combat is super technical. It's all about timing, positioning, stamina, and choosing your strikes carefully. You can't just run in and swing wildly. Even a simple bandit can mess you up if you're not careful. And yeah, this game is hard at first. It doesn't hold your hand, there's no magic fast travel unless you unlock it later, no big glowing markers telling you where to go. You need to eat, sleep, clean your clothes, take care of your wounds, and pay attention to how people see you. Walk into a noble's hall covered in blood and dirt, and they're not going to treat you like a hero. But that's what makes it so immersive. Quests are deep, and a lot of them have multiple ways to solve them. You can sneak, bribe, talk your way through, or go in with your sword drawn. But everything has consequences. You might fail a quest just because you weren't fast enough, or because someone didn't like how you handled it. The game isn't afraid to let you mess up, and it trusts you to live with it. Now, yeah, there are rough edges. The game had a buggy launch, and while it's much better now, it can still be a little clunky. The save system is weird, you need a special drink to save manually, the UI takes getting used to, and sometimes it can feel slow. But if you're into deep, realistic role-playing and a world that doesn't treat you like the center of the universe, Kingdom Come Deliverance hits different. It's one of those games that really sticks with you, especially once you start leveling up and making a name for yourself. You'll go from a scared peasant who can barely swing a sword to a full-blown knight, but you'll remember every step of how you got there. Mount and Blade Warband. A game that doesn't really look like much at first, but once it clicks, you're hooked for hundreds of hours. It's not flashy, it's not cinematic, but it's easily one of the most addictive and open-ended RPG sandboxes ever made. You don't start as a hero, you don't even have a main story, you just create your character choosing your backstory, skills, and stats, and get dropped into this massive medieval world called Calradia. From there, it's totally up to you what kind of life you want to live. You can be a wandering merc, a traitor, a rebel, a bandit, or even rise up and become a king. No hand-holding, no main quest, just you, your decisions, and the world reacting to them. Now, the world isn't super detailed in a modern RPG sense. It's more like a big map with towns, castles, villages, and roaming armies, but it's alive. Factions are constantly fighting, lords are forming alliances and breaking them, towns are getting raided, and power is always shifting. And you're just trying to survive and maybe take advantage of the chaos. Combat is the real star here. It's all real-time, large-scale battles, and they're brutal and chaotic. You'll command armies of soldiers, ride into battle on horseback with a lance, lead sieges, and defend castles. And the crazy part, you're in it, not just giving orders from a menu. You're in the mud with your troops, swinging your sword, blocking, shooting arrows, or charging through enemy lines on horseback. The melee system takes some time to get used to. It's directional, skill-based, and not easy at first, but once you learn it, it feels incredibly satisfying. You can recruit soldiers from villages, train them up, equip them, and build your own personal army. And it's not just about numbers. Troop types, morale, positioning, and timing all matter. Losing half your army because you got cocky or attacked without a plan, that hurts, but that's what makes it good. And then you can also go political, swearing loyalty to a kingdom, becoming a vassal, managing land, or even starting your own kingdom. That's where the game really opens up. You'll be making alliances, capturing castles, dealing with rival nobles, and trying to hold your ground while everyone else wants your land. It's part RPG, part strategy game, part chaos simulator. Yeah, the graphics are outdated, yeah, there's not a ton of voice acting or cutscenes, but honestly, it doesn't matter. The systems are so deep and flexible that you just get lost in it. One moment you're fighting off bandits in rags, the next you're marching across the map with 100 soldiers under your banner. Mount & Blade Warband is not a game that tells a story to you. It's a game that lets you tell your own story. And every playthrough feels different. Some players go full warlord, some go economy and trade routes, some go lone wolf. It's totally open-ended. So yeah, not the prettiest, not the smoothest, but if you want a hardcore player-driven RPG that mixes action, strategy, and total freedom, Warband is still one of the best out there. Pillars of Eternity.
Something else.
So you play as a watcher, someone who can see into people's souls and even glimpse their past lives. Pretty wild power, but it comes with a cost. Visions, dreams, and a bunch of heavy stuff you didn't exactly sign up for. You're dropped into this dark, grounded fantasy world where souls and reincarnation are basically the center of everything, and your journey becomes less about saving the world and more about figuring out what the hell happened to you and how to stop going insane. Now, in terms of world design, Pillars is made up of handcrafted zones. You move between towns, wilderness, dungeons, and cities, each filled with side quests, factions, and lore. It's not one seamless map like a modern open-world RPG, but the way you move through it feels open enough. You're often free to explore areas in the order you choose, pick up side content, or just wander into trouble. And yeah, there's a lot to read. If you're into that Baldur's Gate style, high-text, lore-heavy RPG experience, this game is loaded with it. Every character, item, book, and quest has deep background. The writing is legit top tier, and the choices you make can have real consequences later down the line. Combat is real-time with pause, so it's tactical and slow. You control a full party, manage spells, positioning, buffs, debuffs, and it gets intense in big fights. It rewards planning and thinking more than button mashing. You can pause at any time to give commands, which helps a lot when things get chaotic. It's old school and not for everyone, but if you're into deep mechanics, it's satisfying. You also build up your party with companions, each with their own personalities, personal quests, and views on the world. Some might clash with you depending on your choices, some might leave or even turn on you. The whole thing is built around player choice, not just in dialogue, but in how you build your character, how you solve problems, who you help, and how you shape the world around you. Now yeah, it's not visually open like a Skyrim or Witcher 3, there's no horse riding, no seamless giant map, but it feels open because of how many paths you can take through the story, how much freedom you get with your party, and how you roleplay your watcher.
Do we choose our fate? Or are we instruments of the gods? But I wonder.
Dragon Age Origins. You play as a Grey Warden, part of an ancient order meant to stop these monsters called the Darkspawn, who are basically corrupt demon things coming up from underground to wipe out humanity. But here's where it gets interesting. The way your story begins actually depends on the race and background you pick. There are 6 different origin stories, like being a noble, a mage, an elf servant, a dwarf commoner, and each one changes how people treat you and how your story plays out. It's called Origins for a reason. The world of Ferelden isn't fully open, you don't walk seamlessly from place to place, but it's split into large hub areas and you decide the order you visit them. Need allies to stop the coming war? You can go to the dwarves in Orzammar, the mages in the Circle Tower, the elves in the forest, or even deal with werewolves and political drama. Each zone is basically its own mini RPG, packed with branching paths, side quests, and moral choices that really matter. And those choices, they're not just flavor. They can totally shift the story. Characters live or die, factions support you or turn against you. You can solve quests through violence, charm, lies, or logic, and the game reacts to what kind of person you're becoming. Even in the final mission, who shows up to fight with you depends on the decisions you made throughout the game. It's that kind of player-driven storytelling that BioWare used to be kings of.
Have changed. They're smart now. They destroyed the Legion.
Beware the children.
Combat is real-time with pause, where you can command each member of your party, plan out tactics, queue up spells and attacks, and make use of positioning. It's slower than modern action RPGs, but it gives you a lot of control, and on harder difficulties, it really forces you to think. Your companions are a huge part of the experience. Characters like Alistair Morgan and Liliana aren't just there for combat, they have personal quests, opinions on your choices, and full-on relationship systems. You can befriend them, romance them, or even turn them against you, and they'll call you out if they don't like what you're doing. That party banter, those tough loyalty moments, that's where Dragon Age really shines. The game's got a darker tone than a lot of fantasy RPGs too. It's gritty, political, and not afraid to deal with tough stuff, like corruption, betrayal, or wiping out an entire race depending on your choices. But it still gives you freedom to be the kind of hero or anti-hero you want to be.
The events at Ostagar still haunt my thoughts, Warden.
Yakuza Like a Dragon. You play as Ichiban Kasuga, a low-level Yakuza who goes to prison for a crime he didn't commit, thinking he's doing something honorable for his clan, but when he finally gets out 18 years later, he finds out everything's changed. His old boss betrayed him, the world moved on, and he's basically been forgotten. So yeah, dude's rock bottom, but instead of turning bitter, Ichiban stays positive, loyal, and hopeful, and that's what makes him stand out. He's not a brooding anti-hero, he's a full-on RPG nerd who literally sees life like a turn-based game. And that's where things get really fun. Unlike past Yakuza games, this one ditches real-time brawling and goes full turn-based RPG like classic Final Fantasy style. You got a full party, each with their own job class, which is hilarious by the way since you're fighting on the streets of Yokohama. One guy can be a breakdancer, another throws pigeons at enemies, one uses a frying pan. It's absurd but also kinda genius. The game treats street brawls like full RPG battles, complete with status effects, buffs, elemental damage, the whole deal. The city of Ijincho is your big open world zone. It's not as massive as something like Cyberpunk or Witcher 3, but it's packed with stuff to do. Side stories, minigames, secret dungeons, item collecting, crafting, even running your own company. Seriously, there's a whole business management sim in here. The world feels lived in, not because it's massive, but because it's dense, with weird, funny, emotional things to stumble into. Story-wise, it's got that Yakuza drama, betrayal, loyalty, crime family politics, emotional twists, but with Ichiban at the center, it feels fresh and more heartfelt. He's a dork, but he's got heart. And watching him build a found family from total strangers is honestly one of the best parts of the whole thing. Now yeah, some folks might say it's not open world enough, but honestly, the amount of freedom you get in Ijincho combined with all the RPG systems, the insane job classes, and the story branching, it 100% earns a spot on a best open world RPG list. Yakuza Like a Dragon is weird, funny, deep, and totally unique. And if you want something that mixes turn-based RPG combat with street-level storytelling and a ton of heart, this game hits hard.